All right, guys, we're back. We're with two very passionate Democrats and a very passionate Republican. Anthony, I think you got your hands full today.
Victor and Tony, I mean, it's a long time that Tony and I have been, shared the stage.
Shared the love?
I miss smooching his head before the beginning of the show. For luck, I get some static cling. But I don't know what those guys thought. Guys who are acting as Republicans, going to the Democratic Convention. It's like,
well, let's get into right now with the delegates and what's going on. Vic, you have the lawsuit going on.
Yeah,
how's that going first?
Michael Steinberg's got the appeal. He's done all this work for free, and he's also, I understand, a good friend of.
How's that looking? That case?
We're appealing it. We're actually right now as we speak. We're in Atlanta, and the Atlanta Court of Appeals is hearing the appeal as we speak. And we'll have some word here in the next 30 days on what that goes.
So as far as Florida's delegates, as far as we know right now, they're not going to count.
We have 0 delegates to the National Convention right now. Right now we have 0.
For the Republicans, they stripped away half.
It's not been finalized.
It's not final, but they're moving in that direction.
They're going to do that, right, Vic? They're looking to do that.
Well, they're moving in that direction. I don't know. They haven't pulled the trigger yet, I guess, as a state.
Well, I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger. I don't think they're going to pull the trigger because.
So you're saying
the Republicans are going to vote for the Republican. What's the point of doing that?
In other words, the Republicans vote as a bloc.
Exactly.
But the Democrats are spread out, or
no? The Democrats vote as a bloc. That's why they're keeping it. They're locking them out entirely because
I completely disagree. You know why I completely disagree?
Why, Tony?
I need a bodyguard because the 2 guys that were just up here, those are the worst Democrats I've ever seen in my life. Democrats like that, you don't need Republicans.
Why is that?
That's outrageous.
Why is that? Tony, why is that?
It's because when you stop and you think of the Democratic Party, we are a party because we have a platform. If you don't agree with our platform, don't join our party. It's that simple. You can be as independent as you want, be an independent. If you want to be part of the Democratic platform, then be a Democrat. If you don't want to be part of our platform, then take your party to the independents.
So if part of the platform is supporting John Edwards, right? You're saying that the platform is Hillary Clinton.
You don't belong there.
No. That's not the point here.
What's the platform? Explain what you're saying.
Right now, that was an argument, but that was not the argument that I'm talking about when it comes to the overall argument that those 2 gentlemen were arguing on this table about being a Democrat was not towards the Democratic platform of the DNC of the United States of America. When they sit and they say to you that votes don't count because of corporations, that's ludicrous. We are a democracy. Every person's vote counts. Whether you like where you came from or not, whether you won or not, do not blame the voters. The voters voted. Just because you lost, don't blame corporations. So yes, we agree that there are things that happen that make it wrong, but don't go and blame a whole party and don't make the people the villain. The people are the country.
So as a Democrat, outspoken Democrat, you're saying that Bush was fairly elected?
No, what I am saying is, even if when we
That's
had,
what I'm hearing.
Even when we had the illegal vote or the problems with the computers, when push came to shove and all of the molasses ran down to the bottom, the votes turned out to be exactly what they were. Now, where the election turned out is one thing, but like they said themselves, there was tens of thousands of more votes for Gore at the very end than there was for Bush. But the thing is, the people's votes counted. It may have not counted to elect him, but in the end, democracy worked.
Yeah, but votes that are damaged cannot be determined. Who can determine a damaged vote? If, let's say, a card has a partial piece or 2 pieces that have been punched out.
Right.
Now, who can determine? There are no names on the ballots. There's a reason why nobody signs the ballot.
It's funny. Now, I did a campaign. You talk about the hanging chads.
Yeah,
and I did a campaign here in Hillsborough County probably about 10 years ago, and we went through 3 different recounts. And at the time, Pam Oriole, Tampa's mayor, was the supervisor election, and it was like 2 in the morning when I got this count, and it kept going back and forth. I looked at it, I go, you know, this is the first time I had experienced this. I realized when you punch the whole thing, it flips back and forth. And one time, so we went through 3 counts, and we had 3 different votes on the same exact election.
Right.
Then I knew we had a problem with these punch cards.
And
but the bottom line is this: we can't cry over spilt milk, because for the first time in Florida, we're going to have verifiable paper ballots.
Exactly.
That means that regardless of what the outcome,
corrected whatever happened.
we're finally going to have a ballot where you can circle whoever you want to vote for, and when all is said and done, if it's all over, there's a question, you can pull out those ballots and you can go down and see, okay, who voted for who. Actually, in Canada, ironically, they have all paper ballots, and their entire elections are counted in 3 hours. They sit there, they count the votes, it's over, and there's no problem.
Yeah, but another problem, Chris, is from what my friends that call themselves Democrats are talking about. The only problems comes with die bolt in these machines. You don't think there's such thing as human error? You could have every single stack of things, but if I'm a Republican and I want the Republican to go, I'll say 1 Republican, 2 Republican, 3 Republican, 4 Republican, 5 Republicans, 6. You don't think that can happen in an election?
That's the way
human error happens, just like machine errors happen.
See, that's the way Tony should be counting the ballots. 1 Republican, 2 Republicans.
There was a report. In all seriousness, there was a report. I saw a very interesting report that Dan Rather did on HDNet, where they traced our touch screens back to a plant in Malaysia, and they tried to tell this company that, you know, there's a problem here in humid climates, which Malaysia was and Florida is, that these screens, when you push them, you're actually pushing a vote A, and vote B keeps popping up, just like on your Palm Pilot when you have to calibrate your Palm Pilot or whatever kind of machine like that is. So there were problems that they knew about. The company, we would have never found it except the company sued the insurance company to get their money back. And the insurance company of this company, Diebold and whatever other company it was, says, hey, we're not going to pay you because you knew there was a problem with these machines and you never took steps to correct it. So we're not necessarily blaming the machines or the company or voter error. But there are compilations of things here.
So what you're saying is the Malaysian company is conspiring.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying there's
for 5 minutes and ain't yelled at Anthony once.
I'm just saying
what's going on here.
Even in the Sarasota election, the Mutts Ballyhoo Sarasota election, that company would not release their source code to say how they count. How those ballots are counted when you have 15,000 votes in Christine Jennings' race. So I think there are problems with computers, just like everybody who has a computer, it has a crash. There are problems with the touchscreen.
But now we've corrected that for the future.
But hopefully in Florida, keep your fingers crossed. The problem is the same company in Malaysia that makes the touchscreens also makes the scanners that reads the ballot, so that's the thing we have to be cautious of to see how that's going to work.
I say urine analysis. Why not? I mean, everybody go piss in a cup.
Well, you know, I have to say.
I got to hear this.
Let's hear this.
Everybody go piss in a cup and then have a piece of something that you drop down in there, and it tells whether you're voting for George Bush or whoever else, and you take it out, and then you got the DNA all over it. So no one can deny that your vote is your vote because that's your piss.
So what you're saying is,
I have to say one thing. I have to say this, because people ask me why. There's an old saying from Will Rogers. He says, they ask you what party you're in. He says, I'm not a member of any organized party. I'm a Democrat. So the Democrats are very disorganized, as you can tell by
our firing squad from Maryland.
I don't know about that. The National Party liberal apparatus are entirely organized. The Hillary Clinton juggernaut is taking out everyone who is, their competition. What is the competition to Hillary? I mean, who's running? Biden?
Hillary Clinton has not won this election. No matter how much you want to say
I know she's not won anything.
There hasn't been a single vote cast.
He's right.
Until a vote is cast, don't tell me who my candidate is.
But who are the candidates running against it? They're, Biden, Kucinich. I mean, he's out there looking at full of UFOs.
Well,
come on.
Let's not forget we have John Edwards.
Forget Edwards. He couldn't even win his own state during the Kerry election as VP. Come on.
We got viewers on the phone lines, and let's get to a viewer. Viewer, you're on the air. What's your name and what's your comment?
Hi, Chris. This is Cherise. How are you doing?
Very good. Go ahead, Cherise.
Okay. Earlier, I believe the gentleman's name is it Tony Watley?
Yes, he's right in the middle.
Said what kind are the excuse me, those gentlemen that just left, what kind of Democrats are they?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask him, is the Democratic Party a party of inclusion or exclusion? As far as I remember, the Democratic Party offers everybody the opportunity.
Great point.
She must have a long memory because not anymore.
I'd like to remind him, too, that it's the Democratic Party that offered us the 1964 Civil Rights Act and everything. And since when are Democrats not allowed to speak?
I totally agree with you, ma'am. But the
civil
thing
rights
is, again, like I said before, the Democrats, we have a platform. We have a big tent platform, which means we include a lot of things and a lot of people. But at the same time, if you can't adjust yourself to our platform, that's why the Republicans have a platform.
That sounds like a good
if you
boy
can't
party,
adjust yourself to our platform, that's why the independents have a platform. So if you don't want to adjust to our platform, find another platform.
You know, I have
that's
to say,
all I'm saying.
I went to the same convention.
I think your core roots are off.
Ma'am, let me tell you something. Let me tell you a little quick story. Mike Steinberg and I went to the convention last year. I wasn't registered. He was. I walked in the door. I paid my $50, and I walked in. We hung out for a couple hours and came back to Tampa.
And you guys are the guys that are suing.
And I'm the same. We're suing the party.
Right.
So I mean, I had no problem getting in the convention. I'm sure the video was very dramatic, and it was a lot of fun.
And they wouldn't let me pay.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure.
I was there.
I walked in, I paid my $50, and that was the end of that. I mean, I walked right in, and I just walked in.
Apparently, your name wasn't John Russell, was it?
I don't know who's. I mean, I used my name.
Thank you, Sharice. Thank you, Sharice. So,
The bottom line for me is we are a big tent party.
No, you're not. Come on. What tent are you? Where is the big tent?
Explain to me
where
what big
is this
tent
big
party
tent?
means.
Big tent means that under this tent, all of these things are what we believe in.
So the pawns.
And we have a platform under this tent, and on this platform is the Democratic Party.
No problem.
So,
explain to me what part of John Russell's platform ruffled your feathers that don't belong under
the
that
whole
tent.
part of the Democrats are up to some kind of conspiracy, and
so what's wrong? What's new with that?
Everybody is trying to get ourselves to just be Hillary Clintons, and how the corporations are running the Democratic Party. I am a Democrat, and there ain't a corporation in this world running me. So when you say that to me, you just called me a robot, and I'm nobody's robot. Nobody.
So what you're saying is the corporations are now the friends of the Democratic Party.
No, what I'm saying is you have people that are pretending to be Democrats to come in to disrupt the party.
Out of the box, please. All right, send me the bill. This we give to the master debater, and we haven't seen you in a while, Tony. We're going to give you
boy.
Thank you, master debater.